Hello everyone, this is Nimish. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to review the movie Padmaavat, which has finally released. We'll also get into some facts after the review about whether the portrayal of the characters in the movie was accurate as per historians, whether the poetry itself, Padmaavat, what was it about and who was it written by, and all of those kind of facts that you might not be aware of after the review. But for now, let's begin with the review of Padmaavat. First thing I want to say is, yes, I enjoyed this movie. I was just watching it from start to end. I never felt bored or anything at any time. The only time I felt a little uncomfortable was when they threw in songs in there, because obviously songs is not a realistic depiction of anything, but whether this movie is a realistic movie or not is something we'll speak about later. As far as the acting is concerned, this is a Ranveer Singh show all the way. In fact, it is a Ranveer Singh movie. It is not even a Deepika Padukone movie, and I realized this one day after watching the movie when I was thinking about the movie, and all I could remember was Khilji. All I could remember was Ranveer Singh. I didn't even remember one dialogue that Deepika Padukone said that was memorable. I didn't remember any scene of hers that was powerful or anything of that sort. It really felt like a much smaller role than one would expect for her to have in a movie that was so much marketed or controversial because of her character, and it felt like she was the solo lead of this movie. Many people might not agree with me because she's there pretty much, she has screen time in the movie, so it's not that it's a small role or a supporting or it's not like that, but it still felt like that role had no impact whatsoever for some reason. And this might be attributed to the 36 apparently cuts that censor board gave for the movie, which because of all the issues might be to the Rani Padmini role itself, which might have been cut down. That's my best guess. Coming to Shahid Kapoor, feels like the director told him to play a one-toned role, very restricted. And although I was very much enjoying the scenes between him and Khilji, I was enjoying the kind of hero-villain takkar, but I don't feel like his character had much that he could anyway do anything with. So for me, that was a completely flat character. There was nothing to it, and kind of maybe purposely written in that way to make Khilji more kind of bad, to make him more villainous and things like that. To help the script and the story, they have probably given Shahid Kapoor a one-toned act to do, so it really didn't help. The music of the movie, the songs, I felt uncomfortable when I watched the songs because I don't think that is how things might be or that things should be. There was no need for songs in this movie personally, but because our movies always have songs, there were songs that were thrown in. Those songs are not memorable. I don't even remember the tunes of those songs. So definitely the music is below average, I would say. The background score is strong though. That's the tune that you might come out with and that might play in your head for a few days. The background score is loud as usual in Sanjay Leela Bhansali movies and has various tones and pitches every now and then depending on the scene, and that is definitely impactful. The most unique feature and the special feature and the thing that will remain in my mind for the rest of my life is Jim Sarb's performance from the role of Malik Kafur, who is Alauddin Khilji's personal slave. He did an absolutely fantastic job. I also think that without him, this movie loses a lot of its unique value, shock value or surprise value or impress value that any movie gives. You expect a lot of common things in movies that are period based. You expect a king, a villain, a conquer, a love story, all of that, but you don't expect a role like Malik Kafur to be thrown in there. And that is an actual fact, that there was a guy named Malik Kafur who was the way he has been portrayed, and we'll get to that in a bit. But for me, when Jim Sarb came on screen and his track started, it was a completely different movie, a completely unique movie. And so you can't compare Padmaavat to all other period dramas because none of them have the Malik Kafur element, the Jim Sarb element in them, and the chemistry between him and Alauddin Khilji, which is kind of weird to watch and things like that, and it's kind of confusing, and you're wondering what's going on in Khilji's mind and you're wondering what's going on in Jim Sarb's mind. So it's really nice, and I wish that character was explored more and more because there were very interesting scenes related to that character that left you in a mystery as to what is going on in that character's mind. So it was really interesting to watch him. Raza Murad, who plays the king, the original Khalji dynasty king at the start of the movie, is menacing as the emperor, the ruler, the kind of the current ruler who has aged and who's kind of very ferocious and very evil looking and very scary. He was really played that role well, and so that's a very good casting done by the director. Overall, the casting is very good in this movie. Everyone did a very, very, very good job. The story is crisp, it's not dragging, it's not all over the place. They don't go into backgrounds of this and that and side stories and subplots. It's very concentrated a story into what the kind of maybe the poem wanted to say or whatever, but it is very concentrated. So you won't see the background of the Rajputs, you won't see the background of Rani Padmini, you won't see the background of Alauddin Khilji a lot. You'll just see very, very crisp kind of scenes and issues related to that. I forgot about Aditi Rao Hydari. She did a fantastic job as well. She's a highly underrated actor. She does really, really natural performances in her movies, and I really enjoyed her performance. Getting into some facts about this movie was inspired by a poem written by Malik Muhammad Jayasi called Padmaavat, as we all already might be knowing. And this poem was written 200 years after the death of Alauddin Khilji. So historians don't really trust the accuracy of this. They have tried to corroborate it and correspondingly check other literary pieces that came out during Alauddin Khilji's rule and during the events that are described in Padmaavat, and nothing matches, and there's no mention of this Rani Padmini issue and the love story issue of Alauddin Khilji or the desire or all of that. So a lot of historians have rejected this poem called Padmaavat to be historically accurate. Thus it is just a fantasy fiction, and it should be viewed as a fantasy fiction poem, just like most poems in this world are. And therefore their movie, which is made of Padmaavat the poem rather than the facts of the reality, should be viewed as a fictional movie, a fantasy movie, and therefore there is no need to kind of take away much from it. Now, I don't know how Alauddin Khilji was portrayed in Padmaavat, but historians have completely rejected this portrayal in the movie, which Sanjay Leela Bhansali has portrayed him to be savage, evil, really, really brutal, really crazy, really kind of ferocious, wild, all the things that you don't like in a ruler. And I have some, research here which says that when Khilji was ruling, they heavily drew from the Persian culture at that time in history. The historians have studied and researched a lot, so it heavily drew from the Persian culture, which is very old, very sophisticated, and it is not the way it is shown in the movie. It is not crazy and kind of animalistic, so to speak. The rulers followed a code of conduct. They had an etiquette. They were very sophisticated in all the ways, whether it's eating, dining, whether it's the life choices. So the historians don't believe that Khilji was the way he has been shown in the movie, and therefore really, once again, you have to take it as a fictional fantasy movie, and you should not keep in mind that, oh, Alauddin Khilji was like this or he was like that. We would never know how he was, but we should trust the historians because they do their job really well. Malik Kafur, the personal slave, was a eunuch, and the one part that they have not really reflected or portrayed in the movie is the fact that he actually went on to make a lot of conquests in South India and many other parts of India on behalf of Alauddin Khilji, which means that he was strong, efficient, and a warrior. And so that part has completely not been shown in the movie, and so that again is not really a factual thing. They have taken the character, his existence, but they have made a completely different portrayal of him. He was also politically very active and very, very involved in the ruling of the kingdom of the Khalji dynasty with Alauddin Khilji as his support. And even after Alauddin Khilji's death, he wanted to take power. He wanted to, he made one of Khilji's son the ruler and things like that, so that he could control him and all of that. So he was very active in that sense, but in the movie, none of that has been shown, and so factually that really is completely off the beat. Nevertheless, as I said, that is one of my favorite characters in the movie, just because the movie, for me, I approached it as a fantasy fiction, and it turned out to be a very good piece of entertainment. Out of all the movies that have been coming in the past months and the hype beyond Padmaavat, I think that this movie is worth a watch. Definitely go and watch it in the theaters. The magnitude of the movie is amazing. Yes, the VFX, the special effects could have been much better and much more, impactful, so to speak. But I personally don't have any complaints. I enjoyed what I saw, and I think that it was fascinating to watch such a story. On the rating scale of 5 stars, the first half definitely deserves 5 on 5, because for me it was crisp, entertaining, extremely interesting. Some scenes were so pumped up and so kind of, built up the adrenaline in me that I was really excited to watch Khilji the way he is. And then the second half kind of became a little here and there, all over the place. In the first half had a maturity, it had a sense of breathing. It felt like the film was breathing and letting us absorb everything, whereas the second half felt a little jumpy. It felt a little, I don't know if it's the cuts or what it is, but it just felt jumpy. It felt like things are going very fast, things are being processed very fast, events are happening very fast. We have no sense of time. We don't know how many months have passed, how many years have passed. We are really not understanding what exactly is happening in the second half, because things are just happening one after the other. One person is going from place A to place B, coming back to place A, going back to place. It's very confusing. It's very kind of fast paced. And so I feel that if the movie had held the maturity that it had in the first half and just taken time to breathe and continue at that pace and continue with that beauty, this movie would have been an absolute perfect 5 on 5. But because the second half sort of kind of disappointed me, I'm going with 3.5 stars for Padmaavat. 1 star down because of the second half, and half star more down because the characters of Shahid Kapoor mainly, although I was enjoying the tucker between the hero and villain, didn't have any shade, it didn't have anything, and it was just like such a good actor and such a good combination felt a little wasted. And also Deepika Padukone, who I assumed was going to be the lead or something throughout the movie, only gets a little more role in the second half, and that too is not impactful enough. So I was hoping more from that characters, and I wish that that was portrayed well, so that it would have been a proper film with 3 actors in it rather than just 1 actor, and its movie could have been, might as well be called Khilji or something like that. But anyway, 3.5 stars for Padmaavat. I hope you like this review. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and take care.